Game 2. So, bottom left corner, this is, of course, FOD, the Protoss player. Let's have a look at the production tab. There it is. Let's get the names across the top so that we look like pros. FOD opening up with, I'm hoping, a pylon. Anything else would be very, very weird indeed. Meanwhile, Rill, the top right corner, is the Terran player, and he is going to go ahead and throw down a supply depot. So the pylon down here, I like it. I don't mind that at all. This is a pretty old map, and that's certainly the way I used to play it when I was back in the day when I was playing 1v1 as a Protoss. Quite easy to get a wall across here. I know it looks pretty big, but actually, you know, it's 2 pylons and 2 buildings to have a complete wall there. You know, the sort of purpose of building your wall here instead of here is very much so that you can get an expand in this location. This is your natural expand, and have it pretty much secure. The downside is you're not at the top of a ramp, so you don't have any high ground vision advantage for any units coming at you. It also means that units that are attacking aren't channeled into a kind of narrower choke, so they can all attack at once, and you've got a much bigger surface area that they can attack. So, you know, this maneuver is not without risks. So FOD has the forge. Did have a forge last time, and just a single cannon, which turned out not to be enough. And I cannot help but let go of the mouse there. I cannot help but feel that had FOD scouted, he could have done a better job of defending. He had a probe, you know, in the vicinity of his opponent's base, but it never went in. And, you know, it's one thing to suspect, to know that your opponent likes to do a marine rush and think that it may be coming. It's another to know exactly when it moves out. You know, if your worker's parked here and the marines go past it, you can, if you've got the money in the bank, throw down 2 cannons, and when the marines hit here, those cannons have finished up and you've got significant firepower. I don't like how far forward these are. I don't like that, and I'll explain why I don't like it. FOD should be building a mothership core as soon as his cybernetics core has finished, and the mothership core can overcharge pylons. Well, the range of the pylon would come to about here, which means marines sitting here can shoot these cannons without taking fire from the overcharged pylons. So that's why I don't like it. 2 more pylons are coming down. And I think this is a lesson learned from the last game when the Terran player was able to pretty quickly kill both the pylons, depowering both the cannon and, of course, more importantly, I suppose, the gateways, so that FOD could no longer pump out units. There's a Stargate in production, and, you know, of course there is. It's kind of churlish not to open up with, you know, an Oracle if you're playing Protoss against anything, to be honest, because it doesn't cost that much, and if your opponent hasn't got defenses in place against the Oracle, they will lose hideous amounts of workers, hideous amounts. And if they have got the defenses in place, well, you've forced them to spend as much on defense as it's cost you to build the Oracle in the first place, so you're not in bad shape. So, you know, all in all, it pretty much always pays for itself. Look at this. Rill has stopped worker production. So focused is he on just marine production. He's cranking out the marines. They are going to be moving across the map very, very shortly. He's found a recipe that works. You know, I don't know why he hasn't already sort of moved out, to be honest. Combat shield finishing up very, very soon. But I don't like stopping. I don't like stopping worker production. In fact, did he build any workers? You know, 9 workers. He built a few, not very many. I don't agree with kind of quitting worker production, because I know that's kind of, you know, you recognize that this is pretty much an all-in play, but that makes it extremely all-in. You just saw there the Marines getting that shield upgrade. If I just let's have a look at a Marine. Yeah, there they are, carrying their little shields. Hello, shieldy. So, yeah, let's zoom out. I think I've managed to fix the graphics issues that I was having in the last game. Yeah, turned out for some reason the drivers didn't load on startup. Probably because I've had the graphics card in about 4 times in the last couple of days. Okay, let's see how well he holds this time. That's a lot of cannons. The Oracle is going to just walk all over this as well. I don't know why not shooting with the Oracle. I don't know. Overcharges and the Zealots are just going to mop this up. With an absolute bare minimum of losses. Now the Oracle needs to be on its way to his opponent's base to do maximum damage, and to be honest, I'd have probably sent the Zealots as well. I'd have sent the Zealots to attack the front, just so that your opponent, will have seen that Oracle. He knows that it's going to be in his mineral line. He has to send his Marines back to defend. So if his Marines are defending the mineral line, your Zealots can just walk into the front and hack away at stuff and just mess with him. You've got an advantage, FOD. Press that advantage. Here comes the Oracle. Let's see how much it gets done. Now Rill has not pulled the Marines, and I don't understand why not. He saw the Oracle. He knew that an Oracle was on the map. What the Oracles do best. They slay workers. And just look at this. I mean, this is game ending. This is over. Had those Marines been in the mineral line, well then, this Oracle might have got 2-3 kills, and had it hung around for that 3rd kill, a very good chance of dying. So, Rill, you've got a bunch of Marines, but I'll tell you what you don't have, an income. Let's peek at the income tab. Ouchies. Look, it's horrendous. You've lost the game in that, that one decision to not put workers in the mineral line. 6 is roughly the magic number. 6 Marines will take out this Oracle and defend your workers. If nothing else, the presence of the Marines. No, don't shoot the turret. Focus at worker. Too late. If nothing else, hang on, just a tick. This seems awfully loud. It's only on 13%, but it does seem pretty loud. Let's just crank those down a bit. Yeah. Having a couple of Marines in the mineral line, that unless microed, the Oracle will automatically shoot at the things that are shooting it. So, it'll attack the Marines, which means it isn't killing workers. So, did get the Oracle. There is another Oracle on the map, but, so many kills. I'm not so sure about a Dark Shrine at this point. I don't see the need. You're ahead. FOD, you're clearly ahead. You've invested a lot in Zealots, so what I'd like to see is the Twilight Council researching charge. Oh yeah, it's already happening. If I had an eye on the production tab, I'd have known that. That makes these Zealots so much more valuable, especially against Marines. Against ranged units, having charge just makes a huge difference, because the Zealots get up close and personal, nice and quickly. The enormous income advantage that FOD has. He doesn't, DTs are a kind of, I sneak about and I slice you without being seen. You don't need to do that. You can simply overwhelm your opponent. The damage that was done was so enormous. So I'm not sure about waiting for DTs and stuff. Personally, I'd have just dropped a couple of extra gateways and then moved across the map. I don't think I'd have built any more Zealots. I already had some. I think I'd have probably switched into Stalkers and just marched across the map with +1. None. When I say with +1 armor would have been my choice. The reason that is the standard option for a Protoss against a Terran. If the Terran has Marines, let's have a look at a Marine here. The damage they do, 7, that's because this has a +1 upgrade, but normally it's 6, which is a tiny amount of damage really. However, that's repeated very, very quickly indeed. Weapon speed 0.61. So they do lots of little blips of only 6 damage each. That means that in a few seconds of sort of damage taken from a bunch of Marines, you're multiplying up that 6 by a large number. So if you have +1 armor, instead of multiplying up 6 by a large number, you're multiplying up 5 by a large number. And since everybody watching is a mathematician, I don't need to tell you that is useful. So armor tends to be the way to go because it makes such a huge difference. +1 armor drops a 1/6 of the damage output of these. As compared to, imagine playing against Protoss, whereas +1 armor, it does a double attack with 9 damage, so that would be 18. +1 reduces the damage by 2, so it's only a 9th is the difference that you make. That's how it works. So yeah, playing against Marines, armor more important than attack. Anywho, Void Rays coming out. FOD, when are you going to go and end this game? If you give your opponent too long, he has a chance to get back into the game. You've built a couple of DTs. Why not have them across the map? Why not go in and poke about? Yeah, sure, your opponent built a turret, but that doesn't mean you can't go in here and kill this, or kill this, or kill this, or hack these up. So go and have a poke. Even if it's just to... oh, no. It's miserable to watch, isn't it? Didn't learn his lesson the first time. And as a result just goes ahead and loses another 4 workers. Yeah, the tank, go and kill the tank. You're not gonna, you're not gonna get that. Oracles don't really kill buildings. No, not that way. I don't know, what was I ranting about a moment ago? You can't tell me you can't reply to this. Well, you can, feel free to reply as you watch it, but I won't hear you. That's not how watching things on YouTube works. Yeah, send the DTs in. You know that you have an economic advantage. Force your opponent to use scans to clean up the DTs. He can't afford to use his orbital energy on scans. He needs to be using it on mules. So, yeah, I think FOD just needs to go and win this. If we look at the army supply, he's ahead in the worker supply, he's ahead on income, he's ahead on, what else, units killed, what else might he be ahead on? He's probably best we don't talk about that. I don't know, he's ahead by... everything that I can think of, he's ahead. So, what about upgrades? Is he ahead on upgrades? No. But anyway, so what are we going to see? What's FOD going to do? He's going to drop a pylon over here. I would very much like to see DT go in and have a look around. They're cloaked, so, like the observer is the traditional thing you use for checking out your opponent. I'd like to see this forge doing stuff as well, especially if you're going to chrono it. Chronoing an idle building. What would MC think? What would he think? Yeah. So, not much happening here, is there? Not much happening. Not an awful lot going on. FOD has decided, I'm ahead. I'm just going to get further ahead. So he's built an expo up here. Next to this expo, I'd like to see a couple of pylons and a mothership core, just so you can defend it against hassle. Alternatively, move your units forward to this kind of area so that you can easily defend or come home, or at least most of your units. Leave a few at home for defense, maybe the Mama core at home to defend, just in case there is an attack. So what is this? +2 is being researched. A fleet beacon. Are we going to see a carrier here? Is that what's going to happen? Yeah, and that's fine. I hope he splits these up. That's a large number of DTs. As satisfying as it is to watch DTs kind of go and just slay 7 Marines or 9 Marines or I suppose 11 Marines at a time. If they're all in the one place at the one time, a single scan, and all your DTs are dead. So I'd very much like to see them separated up before they're sent in. Not sure. Separate out the zealots so that the siege tank fires the zealots. He needs to drop the scan. These are just on the edge of the range of this turret. There's the scan, and that's the end of all the DTs. So, as I say, split them up. Split them up. Have 2 up here just hacking stuff. 2 down here hacking them. 2 over here hacking away at stuff. So that you can't get them with 1 scan. You just can't. But, some damage done. And if nothing else, that little poke allowed him to see what he was up against, allowed him to see what his opponent has. So it doesn't look like it is going to be carriers. It looks like the fleet beacon was purely so that he could build a full mothership, and that's going to give him well, that's just fun, isn't it, to have your whole army sort of cloaked by a mothership. So moves out, hopefully based on what he saw. I mean, these are 1-1. The tanks are 0-0. There's a siege tank up on the high ground. These charge dots mean that when that siege tank starts shooting, the splash damage is probably going to do as much to kill the marines as to kill the zealots. But this is going to be the end of the game. The Void Rays, get them killing this because they can. But yeah, it's GG. I don't want to be too critical. Bob played a good game and is the deserved winner. Expected the rush and defended well against it, and then built up a big enough army to go and win. And that's exactly what he did. I feel he could have done it, 5 minutes earlier, but that's no big deal. He won. Yeah, man, GG. So this match now will need a decider, and I better get into that decider and cast it right up. I'm beginning to feel a bit hyped for the finals that are supposedly going to be this week, but I don't know whether that is actually going to happen. I heard a rumor that we may have some visitors in school this week, and that may make things awkward. Yeah, man. Okay, I'll be back with Game 3 very, very soon indeed.